So I decided to make a character summary based off of somebody that a lot of people tend to not know much about, aka Fire Lord Ozai, and his timeline, because a lot of people don't really know much about Ozai, other than the fact that he burnt aside Zuko's face and couldn't stand the fact that his personality wasn't exactly like his.
Nigga, did I just catch you having fun?
Oh, and also that he was basically manipulating and toying with his daughter till he literally couldn't use her anymore, and that his disapproval would simply break her and send her over the edge.
You're broken. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Oh, and also that he finessed his older brother out of the throne after finding out that his nephew died. Oh, and also drove his wife to abusive insanity multiple times, to the point where she wanted to forget everything she'd done in her previous life, including her own children, just to get away from him. But I'm gonna cover everything that he did since birth. So Fire Lord Ozai was born in 55 AG, aka after genocide, aka the Airbender genocide. So if some of y'all do like a little bit of some quick math, the 100-Year War, he was born in 55 AG, so basically he was 45 years old when he fought Aang. But even according to Iroh, he even stated that Ozai, he had a very difficult problem in regards to his temperament, even as a child. And as Ozai grew up, he became more impatient, stubborn, and very ambitious. And usually that's not for the good reasons, causing Ozai and Iroh's relationship to be like, oh.
What's wrong with him? Oh, he's pissed.
So Iroh distanced himself from him. And a lot of people played off his temperament or temper tantrums as just him being an emotional youth. But his older brother Iroh and his father, Fire Lord Azulon, already knew what he was on.
You're a problem. You're a real problem.
So with Fire Lord Azulon peeping more red flags than a Fire Nation theme park, he immediately starts to favor Iroh way more than Ozai because, because he knew that nigga Ozai had some screw loose. Because as he got older, he became more impatient and more stubborn. And as Ozai got older, he became more ruthless and also ambitious in regards to stuff like school and his other endeavors. But with Ozai being extremely competitive and very ambitious in school, that impressed Iroh. But that was very short-lived because he realized that Ozai wasn't ambitious and highly competitive at school in order to seek knowledge and greater learning. Nope, the only reason he did it was just so he can beat the people. And he had a lack of empathy towards the other people, resulting in him having a pure brutal ambition, which made Iroh say, oh, what the hell? And meanwhile, Ozai is in school like,
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I am who and what I am because you need me.
And I want people to understand, unlike his father, his grandfather, and his brother, Ozai was never a general. He was never a military officer. And that's because Fire Lord Azulon looked at him and was like, yeah, something's wrong with him. He's impatient and stubborn and so on. And even Iroh was also like, bro, something's wrong with him. Like, do y'all not know how terrifying that is? That Fire Lord Azulon, who most likely took part in the Air Nomad genocide, looked at Ozai and said, I don't think he should be in charge of anything. Because Ozai is like that kid that collects roadkill down the street and brings it home to their parents. And then a certain incident happens into the future. And then the parents are like, oh, I never knew. Meanwhile, the kid is in the basement surrounded by roadkill doing this.
Don't worry about no fuck nigga cheat, and I'm SINGLE.
So that made Azulon pick Iroh to be a general and favor his decision making. And plus, Iroh had an heir, which made Ozai feel some type of way. So with everything set in full motion and Azulon primarily focused on General Iroh, it led to Fire Lord Ozai, of course, being restless, going around learning different things, aka political schemes and martial arts as well. And with us knowing his personality, it probably wasn't, how you say, pleasant.
My name, nigga. My mama didn't name me. What's my name, nigga? What's my name?
So eventually, as some time go on, and eventually Ozai becomes old enough to have kids, aka married age where he should have kids and keep the Fire Nation bloodline strong. Well, Fire Nation royal bloodline strong. And Ozai and Fire Lord Azulon thought, what is the strongest possible firebender that we could think of to keep our bloodline strong? So those two, along with the Fire Sages, was like, Avatar Roku had a granddaughter. Let's snatch her up. And thus how we met Ursa, Fire Lord Zulon made the introductions. She had no choice but to agree to Ozai's proposal. The whole marriage situation is probably one of the craziest things because he didn't even ask if Ursa even had a life before. He just walked in and said, "You're going to marry me," and that's it. And she low-key didn't have a choice but to agree. And when they was about to leave, her boyfriend at the time stopped the cart where her and Ozai was about to leave. And Ozai's soldiers was literally about to murk old boy on sight for stopping the royal carriage. So she literally had to sweet talk Ozai, the person that she just met, by the way, to save the life of somebody that she truly loved, aka her boyfriend. And she was like, "Let me talk to him, my love, blah, blah, blah." And Ozai was like, "Ah, sure." And then she managed to convince him to leave, and then whoop, off they go with Ozai. Like, genuinely, you know how crazy that is? Imagine being in a happily relationship with somebody, and somebody just comes in with government people and just say, "You're not in a relationship with this person no more. They're mine." You'd be like, what? When Ozai do something completely wild, I'm just simply going to play this. So when Ozai married Ursa at the age of 30, some things happened as soon as the wedding commenced and ended. He goes on to tell her that her duties as his wife now is that she should forget everything in regards to her past, everybody that she knew back then, including the boyfriend that she had way far in the past. She said, "You are only devoted to me, your nation, and that's it." And you can even see it here. "You belong to the royal family now, and me." And cue evil laugh. And then bro goes on to kiss her, knowing that she can't act out or cry while they're out in public like this. Oh yeah, and then they go on to have 2 children, Zuko and Azula. And the thing is, they wasn't even sure Zuko was going to be a firebender. And just a possibility of that happening. The prince not having a firebending son, he genuinely was going to throw away Zuko if it wasn't for Ursa and the fire sage just saying like, "Yo, please wait, nigga, wait. He could do it later." So after the whole little Zuko situation, Ozai, Ursa, Zuko, and Azula, they all tried to be a happy family. They will constantly take trips to Amber Island, which a lot of y'all may know since y'all watched the series. But y'all might not know that Zuko once tried to save a turtle crab and ended up getting pulled into the sea, and it was Ozai who jumped in to save him and then brought Zuko back into Ursa's care.
You are a bad guy, but this does not mean you're a bad guy.
But that little piece didn't happen for long until Azula started developing her firebending at an early age. And it comes to turn out she's a freaking prodigy at it. And Ozai was much joyed. But Ursa was concerned with how destructive her abilities could possibly become, and worried for Azula. Meanwhile, Ozai is looking at her potential like,
"Use your aggressive feelings. Let the hate flow through you."
And so Ozai continued to create Azula in his image via cruelty and perfectionism, and promoted her bad behavior. So as Ozai took a liking to Azula being a prodigy firebender, he immediately took her under his wing, and it didn't take long for her to excel in what her father wanted her to become.
Let the hate flow through you.
And so as time goes on, Ozai become, more aware. Because Ozai is a lot of things, but stupid isn't one of them. He realizes that his wife Ursa still missed her past life. So what do Ozai do when he realizes that his wife is that distraught about her past? Does he comfort her or hear her feelings out? Nope, he hires her most trusted servant to intercept the messages that she used to send back home. And those messages was to her old lover. But peep this, the servant was reading the letters and she was like, "Oh shit, I gotta show this to Ozai." And it's very clear that Ozai didn't like what he read. And for those of y'all that read the comics, y'all know what happens next. Prince Ozai.
You are not the father.
Since Avatar is still, covered by Nick, or they know that they have a younger audience, they didn't show what really happened after this, but it's very heavily implied that he treated Ursa in a way.
Slap me around and call me Susan.
I warned you, Susan.
But instead they went with this route where they was arguing. And to summarize it, Ursa was making claims saying that Zuko wasn't Ozai's son. And with Ozai literally being mentally unstable, completely outraged. Because Ursa was basically saying that Zuko reminds her so much of her past boyfriend because of how kind her past boyfriend was and how kind Zuko is. Because we gotta remember, Zuko got a gentle heart. But Ozai confronts her and say, "Why are you lying?" And then she goes on to say, "I just want to hurt you in some way, shape, or form because I knew you was intercepting my letters." And she was wishing that her old boyfriend was Zuko's actual father. So Ozai,
You are the father.
Ozai knew it was his son all along because he always had Ursa followed. Oh yeah, and she had spies around her watching her every movement for literally months before they was even married. So he knows for a fact that Zuko is his kid. Oh, and on top of that, Ozai sent the Yuyan archers after old boy. So really think about this situation if you're the other guy. You're chilling with the love of your life, and then a random government official just come up, take your girlfriend from you, and says, nah, she's marrying me, bruh. And then goes off, gets married with her, and then have kids with her, and then sends archers after you to literally kill you. Like, that is a horrible life. And to be honest, Ozai was already treating Zuko poorly already. But now, after this situation, oh, it's ramped up to 11 now. And I hate to say it, Zuko was getting the worst of it. Along with Ursa, because Ozai was cranked up to 11 now. There's a reason most of Ursa's pictures, she looked miserable. And well, Zuko... So as some months go by, Ozai and the family is sitting at the dinner table, and Azula goes on to brag saying that she showed up her firebending teacher. And then she goes on to dog him and say that he don't know what he's doing. And of course, Ozai, he sided with Azula and said, you know what? You're right, that firebending teacher was wrong. I'm gonna send him off to the Fire Nation colonies. But young Zuko tried to speak out and, come to the defense of that firebending teacher and say that Azula was in the wrong. And that pissed Ozai off, and he told Zuko, who are you to be judging her firebending when she's already on the advanced courses and her firebending is better than yours? And then Ozai goes on to say this iconic line.
My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born.
Granted, Ozai was a little bit more explicit. I just summarized it a little bit, but basically he was like, yo, if it wasn't for your mother and the fire sages, I would have threw you over the palace walls because I thought you was a non-bending disgrace.
Hello, Zuko here.
And if you like that video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know what you think the next video should be based off of. Because like I say at the end of all my videos, I read every comment and I make sure that y'all are heard. Because I'm trying to get to 50K by the end of the year, I would love to have your support and hear more about your ideas. I hope you're able to apply these words in your everyday life. And Lily, thanks for watching. Oh, and a reminder, drink water.
Perfection and power are overrated. I think you are very wise to choose happiness and love.